I didn't utter a sound when that fancy lawyer handed me the eviction papers, just slid the 1910 water covenant right back across the desk and watched the blood drain from his face. That's the moment I knew those 38 estate homes the Cypress Bend HOA had built on my land were about to become very, very damp, and honestly, it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever engineered. See, the Cypress Bend Homeowners Association, lorded over by the perpetually manicured Mrs. Veronica Sterling, figured they could pull a fast one while I, Major Liam O'Connell, was deployed in Syria. These entitled suburbanites, with their zero-lot line ambitions and their aggressive landscape lighting, built their little fortress right on the back 60 acres of my family's ranch. What they didn't know, what they were too lazy and too arrogant to check, was that I'm a combat veteran specialized in hydroengineering, and the earth dam Pops built back in '72 wasn't just a picturesque water feature. It was a state-certified flood control system, and it had been primed for decades, just waiting for a fool like Veronica to build directly in the overflow channel. The arrogance was truly magnificent, right up until I threw the switch and let gravity, coupled with federal water law, deliver a powerful, clear message. I'm Liam O'Connell, 36, and all I wanted was to come home to the O'Connell spread near San Antonio. After years of building infrastructure in some truly broken places, I craved the unbroken quiet of the Texas Hill Country. Pops, my grandfather, the real engineer of the family, bought the ranch in '55. He taught me the land is alive and the water is its memory. In '72, he built the dam on Copper Creek, a simple, beautiful piece of work, designed to help local farmers during drought and manage the flash floods that Texas is famous for. The State Conservation Board signed off on the design, making it officially part of the regional watershed. While I was on my final deployment, Pops passed. The ranch went to my cousin, Chloe. Chloe's great, but she's an interior designer in New York City. She knows nothing about riparian rights or Texas bureaucracy. She hired a firm, Hill Country Land Management, to handle the place, and that's when Veronica Sterling, the HOA queen, and her husband, Councilman Senator Tom Sterling, made their move. Veronica, a woman whose passive aggressiveness could power a small city, who treated Lululemon as formal business wear, filed an adverse possession claim on the northern 60 acres. Chloe, overwhelmed and distracted, missed the quiet legal deadlines. I drove up in July 2024 expecting peace. I found a suburban invasion, construction cranes, freshly laid asphalt, and the sound of pneumatic hammers where my old grazing pastures used to be. The dust tasted like betrayal. When I found the foreman, he just shrugged. Riverwood Estates Phase 2, buddy. Got the permits? I got the local constable involved, who awkwardly explained the zoning change, pushed through by Senator Sterling while I was overseas. That's when Veronica, appearing like a suburban warlord in her shiny white Tesla golf cart, showed up. "Your family abandoned this land, darling," she cooed, her smile plastic. "We're just cleaning up the neighborhood." But the true gut punch wasn't the stolen land. It was the stolen water. Her crews had criminally diverted the main channel of Copper Creek around the new development and away from my dam. The water level was dropping daily, draining the life out of the local ecosystem and the downstream farms. Watching the creek shrink, I heard Veronica's final, sneering whisper, "Maybe you should stick to desert warfare, Major." That's when the fight became existential. My first lawyer was a joke, billing me a fortune to whine about zoning technicalities. I fired him and started digging myself. I felt like I was back in the desert, searching for buried ordnance. And I found the ordnance. First, the 1972 dam construction records, proving direct state involvement in flood control, instantly establishing state and federal jurisdiction over the dam structure. This made the HOA's actions a federal matter. But the real treasure? The 1910 Copper Creek Water Rights Covenant, which gave my family senior water rights to the entire watershed, older than the Sterling's political influence, older than the municipal system. They were committing outright water theft. Veronica naturally was already playing the victim. She used Nextdoor and a local news affiliate to scream about the dangerous, dilapidated dam, threatening her innocent families. "It looks ready to burst," she tearfully told the camera, conveniently forgetting the dam was designed to withstand a 500-year flood. I called my former battalion mate, Stafford Staff Hayes, now an EPA investigator. Staff was blunt. Liam, diverting a state-certified waterway without federal clearance is a Clean Water Act felony. You document the flow, I'll document the fines. I began my operational phase. I set up hidden cams, started calculating flow rates, and documenting the daily water loss. Chloe begged me to settle, but this wasn't about the money. This was about Pops, about the land, and about the sheer, unforgivable audacity of people who think they can legislate the law of nature. Veronica escalated. She organized the neighborhood watch patrol, 4 bored husbands in tactical vests who parked at my gate, harassing any visitor, and filing false police reports about my unlicensed farm equipment. Then Senator Sterling pulled his political strings, initiating a barrage of regulatory inspections, fire, health, building, all in one day. The city inspector, Sterling's campaign treasurer, slapped me with a $15,000 foundation repair order on a house that had stood since 1955. It was the classic overwhelm and bankrupt strategy, but I was ready. While they were drowning me in paperwork, I was coordinating with Dr. Helen Vance, no relation, a brilliant pro bono environmental attorney, and the farmers downstream, like Mr. Santiago, whose family farm was dying without the creek water. Dr. Vance discovered the real dirt. The Cypress Bend development was built entirely within a 100-year flood zone. To get insurance and loans, the HOA had filed fraudulent mitigation plans, claiming the creek diversion was permanent and approved, a clear case of federal mail and wire fraud. We also found Veronica's previous HOA in Arizona was busted for an identical scheme, paying a massive EPA fine. She was a professional fraudster. The final blow came via a certified letter. Senator Sterling had fast-tracked an eminent domain hearing, set to seize my land in 10 days for public health and safety. Veronica's quote in the paper was the last straw. We have to protect our children from instability. That night, standing on the dam, I consulted Pops's old engineering notebook. The original design included a powerful, forgotten hydraulic spillway system. The mechanism was functional, designed specifically for a controlled seasonal release to protect the downstream watershed. I confirmed the reservoir held 3.6 million gallons. The restoration required 3.3 million. The math was perfect. Dr. Vance found the silver bullet, the original 1972 Flood Management Covenant, which not only permitted me to operate the floodgates, but legally obligated me to maintain seasonal flow for downstream agricultural neighbors. We weren't breaking the law, we were following it. The next day, Veronica's crew started installing permanent monolithic concrete blocks to completely cut off the original creek bed. That was my cue. It gave me the perfect, undeniable justification for a state-mandated emergency operation. At 7 a.m., just as the sun broke with Staff Hayes and his EPA team in position and 3 local news helicopters circling, I opened the spillway. The sound was less a roar and more a triumphant, deep hush, the sound of water finding its natural channel again. For the first time in 2 years, Copper Creek flowed back into its historic bed, the current easily carving through the cheap, decorative concrete creek bed the HOA had installed. Mr. Santiago, standing on the bank, actually knelt and kissed the mud. "The water is home," he whispered, his eyes wet. Veronica, live streaming from her tennis cart, immediately shrieked into her phone, "The terrorist is flooding us!" "Arrest him!" Agent Kim of the EPA walked right into her frame and calmly stated, "Ma'am, this is a legal, state-mandated operation to restore natural flow patterns. You are interfering with a federal environmental investigation." Veronica's face was pure, unadulterated shock. The news helicopters captured everything, water flowing perfectly within its natural banks, while she screamed about an imaginary disaster. In the courthouse later, the air was electric. Veronica's lawyer presented inflated damage claims. Dr. Vance presented the 1910 deed, the 1972 covenant, and the EPA violation reports. Staff Hayes testified, detailing the federal felonies. When Dr. Vance played the recording of Senator Sterling instructing the city inspector to inflate the damage claim, Sterling lost it, trying to storm out but was stopped by federal marshals. The judge, thoroughly cornered by the federal weight, denied all HOA requests, ruled my spillway operation lawful, and ordered the HOA to cease all interference. As Senator Sterling was escorted out by the marshals, served with criminal warrants for fraud, Veronica was left alone, utterly defeated. 6 months later, the justice flowed as freely as Copper Creek. Senator Sterling pleaded guilty to federal conspiracy and got 3 years. Veronica faced millions in fines and bankruptcy. The HOA dissolved. My property value tripled, and I used the settlement money to buy Mr. Santiago's farm at auction, giving him the deed debt-free. This wasn't revenge. It was a hydraulic calculation, a legal obligation, and a moral necessity. The creeks are clean now. The farmers are thriving. And I finally have the peace I craved. So tell me, do you think I went too far? Was it right to use an engineering skill acquired in a war zone to fight a domestic enemy like that? Or is the use of force justified when fighting systemic corruption? Drop your take in the comments below. Let's talk about where the line should be drawn when defending what's yours.